Hello and welcome to your weather forecast for October 6th, Monday, October 6th, 2025. And we are finally getting deeper into fall, and we're starting to see with the models that things are about to change dramatically over the next couple of days and then over the next couple of weeks. And the potential for a big storm coming closer to the 20th-ish, about 2 weekends out that I'm watching. But first, let's start with the tropics. So first of all, we do have a 10% chance for this low pressure area to move into the Bay of Campeche, which often spins up some storms and has a 10% chance of developing over there. I'll show you why in a little bit. But we also have a 80% chance from a system out here in the middle of the Atlantic. And this thing is projected to move to the west-northwest and then make a turn to the north. With that all said, let's get into what these systems are. So here is our satellite imagery across the whole Atlantic basin. So here is our tropical wave. Looks quite juicy, actually. That is got the 80% chance of development and is going to move this way and then curve to the north. And we have Hurricane Priscilla out here. Is going to continue to move offshore, but we'll talk about Priscilla later because there are some interesting things with that. And this Central American gyre, which has a 10% chance of developing something this little area here into the Bay of Campeche. I think this is gonna be a bum system. I do not think this is gonna form because we also have a system that is going to be developing out here. It has happened before. In fact, it happened kind of last year with John and Helene. But this is nothing like that. So, looking at the models, this is our Plain Jane GFS. We have Priscilla's going to move off here. And our tropical wave here, going to continue to the west. And this is our small chance of something to develop in the Bay of Campeche. It's going to literally just move over, have a slight chance maybe to spin up. But even a GFS is not showing it forming, and a GFS is usually bullish on things forming. Now, it is actually kind of bullish on our tropical system out here. Most of our other models are not showing this, but I can kind of see where the GFS is coming from here. It is going to then most likely move to the north and probably to the east of Bermuda. Hopefully just to the north and east of these Lesser Antilles, the leewards over here. And get kicked off to sea by this insane low pressure system that would get it sucked up into there and, I don't know, a 944 low pressure system in the Atlantic. Not very likely. Now, here is our GFS ensemble. It's almost done running, but we're just going to show it on this one area here. It is actually showing the system developing. Almost all of them show it developing. And then we have a couple that do take it into the Lesser Antilles and then bring it to the north. With most of them getting abruptly turned to the east. But we'll see where the other models come from there. And we also do have maybe a hint of maybe some activity further to the west. Not a lot, but it's nothing to talk about right now. Now, this is my favorite model. This is the Google Weather Lab AI model. And I actually created a custom because it wasn't doing it correctly. And we have quite a few ensemble members predicting this, and pretty much all of them keep it out to sea. We have a couple that bring it close to Bermuda, which is plausible, and then we have this one, which is just completely out of the way. So I guess if it gets strong, it does have a chance of doing that, but I think after even this run, it's going to go away. Now, moving on to our actual weather pattern, behold me here. We are actually going to have a nice big cold front over here, and it is going to bring some interesting conditions to the Great Lakes and especially over here in the northeast. And after that, we're going to have a big heat ridge build up here with potential trough trying to dig in the west. And we'll talk about what that might do in a little bit. But what gets interesting is we're going to have a potential system out here, might produce some severe weather. But the big thing is what the GFS model is showing further out, as it has this monster trough digging down into the eastern half, which would bring a lot of cool air. And the GFS actually does something very, very odd with this. So let's break that down really quick. But first, let's actually break down what's going on with this cold front really quick, as we do have some small convective scale things that are going to happen. This is our NAM model. It is a short-range, high-definition model, and it is showing, if you're wondering what this is not a tropical system. It was just some tropical moisture that ended up rotating. The NHC actually noted it for a bit. Didn't give it a chance, but they did note it. Now, what it is showing is this thing is going to continue to bring general thunderstorms, and then it's going to combine with the front that is going to bring our cooler air in, and we're going to have a larger area of some thunderstorms, likely to produce some light flooding, especially in Appalachian Corridor. And this model in particular is going crazy for the northeast with all that rain. And then that is going to move out pretty quickly by the time we get to Thursday. Now, our HRRR model, or the HRRR, is showing about the same thing, where we have some storms up here, and then later on it shows it combining together to produce a lot more moisture over here in the northeast. Now, an interesting thing beyond this period is going to be, we're actually going to get into kind of another ridge here. And riding this ridge is going to be a pretty prominent system. Also, we'll talk about this in a little bit. We have actually a potential for a rain nor'easter, somewhat like. Some models show it going onshore, some of them keep it well offshore. And this one shows a potential for a lot of moisture, and for it to get somewhat powerful. Now, on the other end of the eastern side, we are actually going to get a pretty, maybe some of our first snowstorm, if the GFS is right. The GFS often likes to give a little more cold into the air, so it could be a little overperforming in this model run. But it shows it becoming quite a powerful low-pressure system, eventually in Canada, producing a full blown out snowstorm. And then beyond that, we have another area that we're going to watch going into Wednesday of next week that might produce some light severe weather, but nothing much. Now, I do want to mention something over the next little bit. See, Priscilla down here is going to move to the north and pretty much dissipate, but it brings all of this moisture over here to Arizona. And then we have a second system here that is going to potentially move right into Mexico and bring even more moisture to some of the same areas in that same time. Now, looking beyond that, we have this area of cooler air over here in the north, and we have some moisture over here, and it produced some large monster storm that brings lake effect rain, which isn't the most common, honestly, But this time of year, it's pretty normal. It would be. If you actually get a system like this that brings all this cold air in, and actually it shows some of it actually being snow. Now, if even there was more cold air in this, it would be full-on lake effect snowstorm. But this is only one model, and the other models are showing difference. But first, to look at our temperature anomalies over the next little bit. We still have our heat wave over here in the east, and some cooler air over here, generally in the west, except in some people in the southwest. But eventually, we're going to get that warmer air kicked out by our cold front, and that's going to be pretty quick. It'll last about 2 days, about through the end of the week, and then our heat builds up yet again, and at the end of this, we actually have a big battle of temperatures here. But what actually ends up winning? The cold, as it brings a plume of cold air in on this particular run. Alright, moving on to our European model. We have, again, our system here, and our cold front moving through. We'll talk about that. It doesn't seem as prominent on European. So like I was saying, we have, again, a low pressure. The Euro is actually agreeing with the American model on this one. That is going to end up somewhere in the mid-Atlantic, producing a lot of moisture before ending up just kind of fizzling out. Now looking further on, as we get, again, closer to the 20th, we have a very large system that comes in, bringing potential severe weather, and behind it we have all of this cold air, and it becomes a monster low pressure system. Again, this is probably not going to be what it looks like, but the fact that both of them are showing it is something we gotta watch. Now, again, temperature anomaly. Wait, that's the wrong date. Alright, starting out with our temp anomaly. Again, our heat gonna move out pretty quickly. We have some below average air over there, and then heat is really going to try to build up, and then battle as we head into the middle of the month. And eventually, again, the cool air wins out somewhat. Not as much. It comes in, and then some warmer air trains back in, but I think more cold air would come back in after that. Now, with our more recent system, we're not expecting any severe weather. But moving on, we do have our GFS ensembles for potential precipitation. Alright, I zoomed in so you can see a little better. And I do want to show what kind of consistency we have with this. It's like 30 models or something. This one only has 20. But quite a few models ran on the same kind of system. And as we go out to the date here is the 20th, some of them are showing a big system that could be curling, and some of them don't show much. But one model in particular shows a Category 5 storm striking and this big weather system at once. Not going to happen, but interesting. And then we don't really see much. So the verification in this isn't super strong at the moment, but is something that we should still watch. And that is all, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you in the next video, probably later this week.